I mean, did you notice you started feeling better the first hour?
Yeah, I did. When I was deployed, you had rockets that would go over your head, and
Yeah.
then so that created the first level.
All right. So how you been?
Good. You?
Good. Had kind
Hmm.
of a busy day already.
Yeah. Yep.
So, so you've had, what would you say you've had? Would you say you've had panic or would you say you've had PTSD?
I'd say I had panic for the most part. Yeah.
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 So think about this diagram. Now we've talked about this, right?
Yeah.
So what would you say are some of the stresses that led you to panic?
I'd say some of the stresses would, I think a big one, overthinking a lot. Um, when I was deployed, you had rockets that would go over your head, and
Yeah.
then so that created the first level, and then other stresses would add on to that. So then it just piles up to where you get into the panic state.
Yeah, and those rockets that go over your head could hit you too.
Yes, sir.
What was that like for you?
It was a panic for sure. Um, I think the more it happened, it became more normal. But the first few times, it was pretty panic.
Yeah. And then that developed into full-blown panic when you came back to the States, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it made it harder to just be around people in general, and if even if I wasn't doing a whole lot of anything, then sometimes my heart would start racing, and just I think being around big crowds is really what did it for me.
Yeah. That's when you would develop panic almost for sure, right?
For sure, hands down. That's the main source of what it was.
The sounds.
The sounds, the people.
Yeah.
Yep.
So your world was getting smaller.
Yep.
What thoughts did you have when you had those symptoms?
Well, I felt like I was going crazy most of the time.
Yeah.
A sense of panic was uh was a big one. Um, I kind of felt like I was alone, even though I was surrounded by people for the most part.
Yeah. It was really interfering with your relationships, wasn't it?
It was. Yeah,
Yeah. So thinking you're going crazy is that's a pretty scary thought, isn't it?
it is. Yeah.
Yeah. So we haven't had very many meetings.
No, not very many. Uh,
But,
about three or four,
yeah,
I think.
I think maybe three.
Yeah, three.
But you've really bought into what we're doing.
Yeah. So I take what you say and the breathing techniques, and I apply it to if I start feeling crazy or if there's too many people, then just go over what me and you talked about in my head, and it really helps me out.
Yeah.
You know, last night we went to a game. It was a pretty sold out game, basketball game, and I felt fine. You know,
Yeah. Is that
and
great? But
that's great. And
yeah.
when I first got back, I would tell my old lady, I'd be like, well, just too many people. I can't be around too many people.
Yeah.
And she she pushed me to get the help that I needed, and really just the support that I needed on this end too.
Yeah.
So it really helped me out.
So I've been really impressed with how you've dug into doing these breathing techniques and calming yourself down, and it's really working for you.
Yeah,
What have you find most helpful about what we're doing?
even techniques for sure um helped me out. Uh, and then the list of things to go over that was from your book. The I'm not alone, even though I feel like I'm alone. I'm not going crazy. You know, all those things that I just go over them in my head. I took the picture on my phone of your book, and I just go through it sometimes, I'll go over the different ones. And
I know, but see, that's really important. Do you say them out loud?
Yeah. And I say it out loud and then sometimes I'll say it in my head too.
when I say it in my head, I go over the breathing treatment or the techniques too.
Yeah. What's your favorite one of the relaxation techniques?
Um, I like the what's that third one? We did the Buddhist and the Christian, and then the other one where you just relax your hand and
Oh, yeah.
that one.
That's the one where you get into a deep state of relaxation pretty quickly.
Yeah,
Yeah. Is that your favorite?
I think that's my favorite for if I want to relax real fast.
Yeah. What do you think's been the most helpful stuff that we've done?
Learning these techniques. It ain't like when you go to any other therapist and they're just like, well, let's try to find what's wrong with you. Conversating ain't just all about the therapy. It's about getting to know the person. I think that
About
helps
getting
out
to
a lot.
know you?
Yeah.
Yeah. One of the things that I've gotten to know about you is how good you are with horses.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Why don't you
Yeah.
talk about what you do with horses?
Um, well, right now I kind of just, I go, and I work out with horses, um, at a ranch just south of town here, and I round pen them, break them, seduce them to where the owners and the riders would come out and be able to get on them. But before that, I would, various ranches out in New Mexico, Nebraska, Texas, and Arizona. I was breaking a young colt, bringing it in, or an older horse that had troubles and doesn't want to be ridden. I'd break it down and I'd try to train it in the way that I could.
Yeah, that's pretty friggin' impressive, you know.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
really, you're a cowboy.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Ranch hand.
Mhm. Ranch hand, yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's good. Good, healthy stuff for you.
it is good. Good therapy too.
Yeah.
Horses are good therapy, even if they are mean. you know. So
Yeah, you know how to straighten that out though, don't you?
yeah, yeah, I sure do.
How much force do you apply to them?
As little as possible. I try to go about it the easy way.
Yeah.
You know, I I know a bunch of old farmers that would um like there's one that would try to buck him or come at him when he'd bring the feed into the gate. He'd take a 5 gallon broken bucket, and honk it over his head enough times to where he would stop bucking at him and stuff. And you could seduce him to ride and stuff like that. And that type of way, I like to just go in there and try to be their friend. And, it's a slow process, but eventually
Kind
they'll
of a
get your trust.
kind of a horse whisperer approach.
I try. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean, sometimes you can't whisper at them. You gotta yell at them sometimes, a little bump on the nose here and there is all right.
Yeah. And you were saying the other day you could control them with your feet.
Yeah, that takes a lot of practice.
Yeah.
You gotta, at first, you gotta be able to make them use the reins, you know, and then, just start doing how they adapt to that. And,
Yeah.
eventually you have the reins there, but you shouldn't really have to use them
Yeah.
if you do it right.
So when you have those symptoms now, what are you thinking when you have those panic symptoms? Or are you
Mm.
having them?
I do have them still, I think that's something but I think I'm starting to reduce my stress. If you bring that ladder chart in that you had, when I was way up here, I'm starting to break it down, and it's coming down. And, every once in a while I'll come back up a little bit, but you got to go over what you were talking about.
But you're no longer thinking you're crazy.
I don't think I'm crazy. No, not anymore. I did when I came home, but
Yeah. But now
yeah,
you're able to go to the basketball games and interact. And what's your girlfriend think about it?
she
About
loves
your
it.
changes?
She loves it. She loves that I go with her now and, you know, just start interacting more, you know. Honestly, you know, I felt it was so crazy, this whole thing. I thought it was crazy even coming into you. I don't know. How was that?
Did you think it was crazy to come talk to me at first?
I thought I was crazy,
Yeah.
you know, but after I did it, it was a good thing to me, at least,
Yeah.
you know, I didn't think crazy anymore.
I mean, did you notice you started feeling better the first hour?
Yeah, I did, just, you teaching me these techniques and breaking down, that chart was the first thing you showed me and it made sense to me, you know.
Yeah. You could kind of fill in the blanks about the stressful things you've been through, haven't you?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think most of that was, the rockets overhead when I was overseas and just a bunch of different things from over there, bad leadership making you feel like you're not good enough. And, when you come home, you just gotta, talk to somebody like you, or somebody. And then you realize you ain't so crazy and that you ain't what these people been saying you were.
Well, that's the important thing about that diagram I showed you. You begin to not think you're crazy. You begin to understand why the heck you have it.
Yeah.
And not only why you have it, but what to do about it,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know? And I mean, one of the things I say is like curing panic is a lot easier than living with it.
Yeah.
I mean, living with it sucks. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. It's a real stressor.
Yeah.
So,
But, but, especially if you work at it, like you are, then
mhm.
it happens pretty quickly.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons I wanted to talk to you and appreciate you talking to me because you're a good example of if you just dig in there and it's you're very sane. you know,
Yeah.
you're not crazy at all, man.
Yeah.
And what you have is really, I mean, there are reasons you have it. The reasons that stress built up on you, and the reasons. I mean, one of the things is if you have a thought like, "I'm going crazy," that's a scary thought, right?
Yeah. That's,
Okay, so
and
scary thoughts produce more chemicals,
yep.
and then you get in a loop and it's hard to get out of it. All right, man. Well, it's been a pleasure working with you too. I like horses too.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. I love horses. Yeah.
yeah. All right, man. Well, listen, thanks so much.